Welcome along to Q&A 41. This evening we have a good few questions came in for this evening's Q&A. There's a few things I want to bring up that I've been seeing in my own private lessons that I want to share here as well. And as always, if you're watching live and you want to ask a question in the chat, type away. All right, so now, okay, so I want to say for a bit of fun, the levels have been updated inside the community, right? So we have William. I want to give a shout out to William, who hit level 7 just lately, and hit level 7 is no joke. There's a Tunny at level 6. You will get to level 7 as well. But to give you an idea, I've been in this community since February non-stop, and I'm this way through level 7. So level 7 is Lord of the Strings, right? But there is stuff coming. If you're at level 5 or above, you get a free pass. There's an actual goal setting retreat on sale at the moment, a virtual one, and members get that for free when you hit level 5. Now, if you're on this stream, I know most of you watching this are level 5, so you'll get free access to that goal setting workshop when it goes live. Now, the other thing, as I change multiple angles, is the questions. Okay, so I got a ton of questions here. I'm going to get through them, and I'm going to start with the first question that came in. How do you know if you've learned something enough? Right, so when it comes to learning something enough, there are two key things to let you know. You learn something enough by repetition, of course, but the thing in your environment that give you feedback if you've done enough learning on it is if you could play a section of the song or a section of the tab without looking at it. And I've started doing that lately in private lessons with students where they come in, and that's kind of the benchmark of what we've been working on, where I'll go, play it there please, without the sheet. And that's the level of work to put into it. Now, that's in a private lesson fashion where I would drip parts of the song to a student and they have a bite-sized chunk to work on. And I understand in the online environment, we have the whole world of info at our fingertips. So what you can do yourself, if you're wondering if you're learning stuff enough or well enough, is to take a section of it and to see, can you play that section from memory? And if you have problems memorizing whole songs, take a verse, take an intro, take something, right? So that'll be one thing about how to know if you've learned something enough. The second, once the open chords are under your belt, what would be the next thing in line to improve one's ability to improve and grow on guitar? And in what sequence? So, the question here is, once you've open chords, where do you go next? Well, barre chords, triads, and the caged system were mentioned. The caged system, I'm going to start with that. In case you're wondering what that is where you can play any barre chord. You can play any barre chord with multiple shapes. In the caged system, there's a C-A-G-E-D, caged version. So there's 5 different shapes. The main barre chords you'd need to learn are 2 of those shapes. And for that reason, I'd always put barre chords ahead of open chords. But the general order I recommend is to learn your open chords, keep your open chords, add in 3 to 5 more strum patterns, keep adding songs, add in some finger picking patterns. So the strum patterns and the finger picking patterns are being used on the open chords, so you get to keep them. Then you're in a game with your songs of learning new songs, and that's a thing a lot of us find easy, where we go, oh, I love looking up new stuff, and I learn but I'm not finishing songs. And like, how many songs should, people are asking me to play songs for them, and I can play bits of songs. So for that reason, why you keep your open chords with strumming and finger picking, you keep your song list expanding, and it's a game again up to like a 10 song set list. And you maintain songs, which takes work. It doesn't take practice, but it takes playing, and playing takes time, which if you're a busy adult, you can be caught for time. But that's what maintains your songs as you learn new songs to add to your 10 song set list. So if you're wondering what to learn, that is the overall schema, the overall landscape there that I'd look at. And then in terms of barre chords, I'd start with the G major barre chord, and I'd add that in with my open chords. So again, bit of a new thing stacked on top of the old thing. Hope that helps. The trap you could fall into is looking up tons of different techniques and things like that and having bits of stuff everywhere, where all the time you want to keep your open chords maintained and strengthened. And remember, with open chords, you can play your songs faster with your chords, you can play slower, which can also be trickier, and you can play for longer and play different. So for example, if you're learning a song and you're good with G, E minor, C, and D, it's important that you manage to play songs for five minutes, that you don't lose focus, that your chords suddenly don't fall off a cliff once you have to play past the 3-minute mark. So there's all this stuff to learn outside of the regular things on guitar. Okay, so in one sentence, it's try and do more and add in the little things with what you've already got, rather than completely change what you're learning. That was a long sentence. Okay, so great question though, great question. Okay. Next question came in from Steve. Why are chords to songs different on sites and originals not all the same? So yeah, how come you look up songs and the chords are different site to site? Number one is user contributions. That's the main one. Even in official tabs and stuff, they can be different. Because like, you know, if somebody wrote out, like Don't Cry by Guns N' Roses. Like that has to be played there. There's no way. The tone is different. It's all bar chords. The original is... But other songs, it really varies, Steve. So like, for example, if I was doing a song like going, like Take It Easy as an example, like obviously it's open chords. Right, you'd be hearing that in your sleep. But like another site may have it written slightly differently and the ears won't pick up on it so well. But the number one reason is user contribution. And what you can do in that case is, I used to do with browsers back in the day, because tabs weren't a thing on browsers when I was doing this. But what you could do nowadays is, if you find one and you go, oh, that doesn't seem right, or something feels weird, get another one and put it alongside it and start making your own version. Grab a pen and paper and basically start writing out Steve's master version. And that's really good for your musicality skills as well, and your decision making on guitar, to go from being given information where you put it to work to actually making your own decisions on the instrument and making errors and making mistakes to identify stuff. And then you could have YouTube. Pull up the tab, you have the video, the audio, the visuals, so now you can hear. Your ears would probably pick it up ahead of visually, but make your own version then. And over time, what happens is you can begin to do this on the fly, where you'll have two versions up and go, oh, there. You start making these things quicker. All right, great question. It's a very real thing, all right, especially when you're putting the trouble of learning stuff. Okay. Next question came in from Dan, and the question was, I've used elixir strings for my acoustic, but now I need to change strings on my electric Les Paul. Any suggestions for strings for an electric for a beginner? Thickness, brand, etc. You know what? I think I saw it in the community. Some of the guys were recommending Ernie Ball. And somebody else said it to me lately as well about Ernie Ball. I haven't used Ernie Ball in 20 years, but Eddie Van Halen used them, and I know they're a great brand. So if you're getting multiple recommendations for the sake of 10 quid, I'd get Ernie Ball, and I'd also get the other ones. I use D'Addarios. I just like D'Addarios. They don't last as long as elixirs, but I've used D'Addarios. They're XXL 110. And in terms of thickness, what I like to do is I use a set where it's, I think 10 to 52. So it's basically like the thinnest 3 strings are like 10 gauge, so they're light, so for bends and stuff like that. Then the 3 thickest strings are actually like that from the set of an 11s set. So the 3 thicker strings are actually thicker than they should be for a set of 10 gauge. So it allows you to be heavy and it allows you to like bend stuff on the thinner strings. So that's what I recommend. And with strings, like for the price of them, it's not like spending time investing in a guitar or an amp that you can't just flip straight away. Like I do remember buying 3 different sets of strings and basically putting one on and spending a week with it and trying all this different stuff with it, then the next set for a week. A week is a nice amount of time, because if you wait longer, basically they'll go dead and your decision making and your feel of them won't be as accurate then as if they're a brand new set. And yeah, this may mean blowing through 30 quid in 3 weeks on strings, but hey, if it allows you to make a clear decision on what your own preference is moving forward, then you can buy like a 10 pack of strings and save a ball of money. Alrighty, so hope that helps, Dan. Just one thing. Okay, so next question came in from Thomas. Right, so Thomas asked how to avoid the guitar getting out of tune when you put a capo on it. Okay, this is a real thing. Like, I generally tune my guitar with the capo on. I don't have the nitty-gritty, fine detailed technical details as to why this happens. One sec. As to why this happens, but yeah, when you put a capo on the 3rd fret or another fret, after having tuned it down in open position, it'll be out of tune. Okay, I don't know why. Declan, you probably know why. If you want to share it, type away. But so what I do, Thomas, is I basically tune it. I tune it every capo position I'm in. Yeah, so that's what there's no way around that. Just you'll just have to tune it. And in that case, just make sure your tuner's set on chromatic, not like EAD, GBE. Alrighty. So, next question from Thomas. I'm going to double in on this. In the song Take It Easy by the Eagles, I'm muting the high E string for the C chord on purpose. Should I just let it ring out? I find that the chord sounds better with the E muted. So that's that note there. So, no, I would mute it as well. Like, you know, it sounds nice, and this is all part of playing guitar, that you start making your own decisions. Like what I was saying to Steve with Steve's question. The key thing here, and which we already know the answer to, is can you play that song and decide to let your E string ring out? And you can. So it's absolutely fine to mute it as well. Decisions on guitar are about freedom and flexibility of choice. As long as you can turn any one of them on or off as you wish, it's okay to do, right? Because it's you who's playing the song. You know what I mean? If you decide to swap out the C chord and you said, you know, I don't like the sound of the C chord, I'm going to do B7 in that bit, like, that's a way bigger change, you know? So, no, that's fine, Thomas. Good observation. Okay. Next question came in. It was a short question, but it was high stakes. What scale do I learn on guitar to play epic solos? Right, the epic solos weren't named, but I'm willing to bet these epic solos were the E, or pentatonic minor scale. Learn the E minor pentatonic scale for a start. Learn it in 5 positions. This is if you're on electric. If you're on acoustic, this stuff is nice to do, but it's not fundamental. So like here, that's shape, this is shape 5, shape 4, shape 3, shape 2, then shape 1, okay? You learn 5 shapes across the neck, and that's what most solos are made of, okay? But as you know, epic solos, they're not, a lot of them aren't here, they're always up here. So yeah, so you'd be focusing more on shape 1 and shape 2 and shape 4. Those are out of the pentatonic shapes, shape 1, 2, and 4. The reason is it's easier to cross strings and it's easier to bend stuff. So that's what I'd recommend. And then what you'd want to do is in the keys you learn them. For example, if I said like learn them in E pentatonic minor, learn A pentatonic minor, D pentatonic minor, B pentatonic minor, maybe C sharp minor, C sharp pentatonic minor, F sharp pentatonic minor. If you learned the pentatonic minors with those, and really it's the 5 shapes, you're just playing them in different areas around the neck, those would be the main keys of songs, right? So hope that helps. That's the main one to watch, okay? Next question. Bar chord transitions. Right, I'm going to drill down to that. I'm guessing it's about how to do bar chord transitions. Okay, so when you're doing bar chord transitions, I touched on this once before, but basically what you want to be able to do is you want to be able to take a bar chord shape, and there's only a certain number of outcomes per bar chord. So here's one. You're on a shape, you move up to here. So you transition from the same shape up the way, but you've also got to work distances. So I'd practice going from G to A. I'd practice going G, C, G, D. All right, now if you're worried hearing all the scratching, right? Those would be the gaps to work, okay? Because you're training yourself on going between them, and they're huge. Some of those are huge gaps, like, you know, huge distances to jump. But if it's a song that uses that, you need to follow it. Arctic Monkeys being a great example. Like if I go, you know, that high sort of Britpop sound. So that's one. The other thing you do then is go down the way. So, right, so those are the other transitions. You're on the same shape, and why this works is that's the E major shape. It's the same rules no matter what bar chord shape you're on. You just learn to move between them and move down the way, right? So that's moving up the way, moving down the way on the same shape. And then the next thing you do is you transition across strings. So if I'm here, I move down, or I move diagonal. You're basically picking the bar chord shapes around the one you're on, and you're changing shape and changing string. So now you've gone up the way, you've gone back the way on the same string with the same shape, and now you're changing between shapes and you're going diagonally and you're changing strings as well. Now, here's the thing. There is no point getting really good at changing between certain ones. You can go diagonal, you can go up, you can go down, but it could sound like trash, to use a better word. So what you do is you create lists of chords and you pick a key, for example, the key of G. And in the key of G, you basically write out the chords and you find out the bar chords to those chords. So if I want to do G, B minor, C, and D, I would do this. And I'm drilling that. Now keep in mind, bar chord shapes and keys, when you change a key, the bar chord progression, the transitions can be movable. So you could get that same movement if we watch the hand here. And I could start it up here instead. Frets are smaller, there's stuff to watch, but it's the same sequence of movements. So when you practice one sequence of movements, you can just move it up the neck, move it around. Those would be the main thing about bar chord transitions. And I would focus, if you picture the bar chord, a 4-chord sequence using bar chords, and each chord change being its own little bridge, the bridge is what connects up. The bridges are what connects up the whole transition. So you gotta work on the first bridge. There's no point trying G, B minor, C, and D if G to B minor isn't working. So you put it in your practice routine. You just do this. Get the movements. and you look at the actual construction of the bar chord shape. And when you do that, what happens is you can work on that on the side. It's a little construction project, going up and getting higher and getting better, getting stronger, foundations being set, while you do all your other stuff on guitar. Because bar chords require muscle memory, they require muscles, they require like avoiding hand cramps, there's all this stuff. So you really got to add bar chords to your practice routine as a, like, as, what do they call it in America? A side hustle, right? So, hope that helps with bar chord transitions. If you struggle with those, I'd suggest you watch this again and take notes, right? There's a ton there. I just wanted to give you, throw the proverbial bar chord kitchen sink there. All right, but great question. Okay, so next thing that came in was a question from, okay, Stuart, a question from Focus, which I'm sure a few of you can resonate with here. Stuart's sharing, I tend to switch between songs halfway through sometimes. Well done again halfway through, Stuart. I know I used to switch from them when I get like a quarter of the way through or an eighth. I need to take your advice, come up with a plan and stick to it. All right, Stuart, here's the plan. I want you to write down every single song that you've started and not finished. Make the list, dedicate a night to it, go back through your web browsing history, your Ultimate Guitar, your YouTube history, whatever's coming to mind, whatever you can play, make the list, make it huge. And then, there was a great saying once, if you have more than one priority, you have none. And what you want to do is, you want to go through this and really dig down and like from an absolute honest perspective, ask yourself, are some of these longer term project songs? Like for example, if you started this one, right, now let's do this one sec. Like just with open chords, finishing an open chord song is different than going getting this far into this. Or Nothing Else Matters is a well-known one, right? There's a ton to that one. That bit's the easiest bit, you know? So those ones, categorize those as long-term, put them aside. And then define your goal. If right now I asked you, how many songs can you play from start to finish? Like, and at the level that if somebody said, if you're at a party or a family gathering, somebody goes, Stuart, you play guitar, don't you? Here, play the song. How many songs could you play with people there, right? And it's okay whatever the number is. If it's one or if it's none, that's okay. Maybe it's 3, maybe it's 5. But set it up for that. And what you want to do then is you want to zoom out and pick the easy songs to finish first and take them section by section. So as an example, if I had my board, I would pull up a song and I'd create blocks and I'd write them on the board and I'd write like intro, verse, pre-chorus, chorus, bridge, maybe post-chorus, outro, whatever other sections are in it. And I would basically be checking in, do I have that bit done? Do I have this bit done? And I'd be ticking off each song section. And that way it's gone from the big picture of songs to within the songs, blocks of mini projects. And then you can drill down. So like if in the verse you're going, oh, that's a problem. Well, what's the problem? Define it specifically. Is it a chord? Is it a chord shape? Is it a chord change? Is it a strum pattern? What is it? And then get help around that and go back to the song section, get that finished, tick it off. And like I was saying earlier with the maintaining stuff on guitar and learning new stuff, you're in a balance then and a game of maintaining what you've learned in the verses or in the choruses and maintaining those and then adding on the next section and keeping them both going. So they're not wobbling, that you've them steady. And with that then, you start completing songs. And I would start with the easy songs so you start to build momentum quickly. So it's like a snowball. And with that, then you complete one song, you complete the other. Now you're in the maintenance game with your songs where you're keeping this one going as you're adding this one to it. And that's how I do it. That's how I do it. And hold yourself accountable. Like play your first song in front of somebody, because guess what? When you play a song in front of somebody, they might ask you to play that same song again. So that means you got to remember it. All right. Hope that helps. Great question. Yeah, you want to break it down so the focus is like just so small, like, you know. Okay, so Coleman, question. This is a question. It's kind of hard to phrase in a single question, but I'm going to share what the quote unquote, what the challenge is, right? So, playing the intro of a song, what happens if you've changed the key of the song and there's some cool little bits in the intro that you want to keep, but now you've changed the chords and it's in a different position on the fretboard? What do you do? So, here's an example. Take it easy. Right, you see the way the intro goes? Now, the next thing is, Coleman played it up around here, so he changed the chords. It's called transposing. He transposed the song, and it went like this. And by the way, excuse my guitar, it's going to be out of tune, just like yours, Thomas. Right, but I'm not tuning up because I'll be off in a sec off. Now, so like, take it easy. If I wanted to sound more like the intro, you zoom out and you go, what was it about these chords at the start? I'm going to take 2 or 3 minutes on this, right? So it's a G. Okay. I actually removed that note. So it's a sparse sounding G, if we put language on it, right? Then the next chord was a C, and the bass was still kept on the G. So we go up high. Now I'm playing, and remember capo's on, so I'm going to say some of the same chord names up here, but it's nothing to do with down here. So we start on C. Now that's bright and it's happy. We wanted to create it more dark, mysterious and sparse, like the G. So how do we do that? Well, one thing you can do is it's funny how everything interconnects. Okay, so Thomas's tip earlier about not letting the bottom string ring out in C, I'm going to borrow that. Hope that's okay, Thomas. And I'm going to do that with C. You know, it darkens it like we darkened the G down below. So you're just looking to tweak the chords and mold them using what you used already. And then the next chord down below here was C with the G bass. So down here it's going to be F with the C bass. Right? And then finally we had down here now this one here is a stickler, like this is a D7 sus4 with the G bass. Now watch what I'm going to do here. And this is where knowing that in the key G here, G, C, D, like those are the basic chords, that up here it's C, F, G. So C. Now I'm doing a G sus4. Just going here, muting the A string, open, open, index. I'm not letting that ring out. It's too high. It doesn't sound like the intro, Take It Easy, if I do it. So I do that. Now, in common speak on guitar, we could just say that this chord down here was kind of mysterious. It was like, it wasn't the full D. There was weird stuff done to it. So I go up here and I go, okay, I'm meant to be on a G at this point. How can I do weird stuff to the G? I can take out the brightness out of it, like we did down here. I can test out, so if it was D7 sus4, maybe G sus4 would work up here. And that's unconsciously, that's what's going on at that moment. So now the intros. Sounds really like it. Then Now that is just... Right down here with our G major scale, because we're playing in G. Up here, I just used my ear and I kept it little fills using C major scale. So, hope that makes sense, right? That's how I'd like busk, quote unquote, busk the Take It Easy intro up high with the capo. And like, for example, I'll do one other quick one if it was here. What was here? So if I was starting on D, yeah, I need to work on that D scale there. But do you see what I mean? It was like D, G, and A. Just turned them, took out some of the info, made them dark, mysterious, did funny stuff to the D, the G, and the A. That was it. All right. Hope that helps. Now, alrighty. So those are all the questions. Now, I do have. There was some interesting stuff that came up in private lessons this week that I've heard that I'll share towards the end. But I'm going to hop to the Q&A here just to make sure I get your questions first. Okay, let's see. Who else have we got in the house? Okay. Welcome in, Declan Ann. I saw you come in earlier. Good stuff. Who else have we got? You got volume, Chris. Come on, that's the job. Declan hates the B bar chord. Declan, you're not alone. You're not alone. Yes, it's a bit of a pain, isn't it? Yeah, and getting stuff up to speed. Okay. Welcome in, Coleman. How's things? Hope the question made sense. It's the most used chord in Godspell. That's the job. Hey, Andrea. Welcome in. How's things? Okay. I'll be on time yet, yeah. Go down to the office and get a late slip. Okay, let's check. Sevens. Oh my God. Didn't know those sevens, William. I had eights once. 8-gauge strings. Yngwie Malmsteen used them and I wanted to be like him, so I bought them. But they lasted an hour. I took them off. Excellent, Dan. Glad that helps. Noel, welcome in. How's it going? Yeah, it was a cool question about the capo. Definitely. But it gets out of tune very quickly. Just string tension changes. I'm a bit lost there now, but it gets out of tune very quickly. Yeah, must be string tension changes like Declan saying. I'm going to read through here. Thomas, our new poster boy. Mr. Godspell. I like the sound of that. That's cool. Could be a movie. Okay, thanks, William. Okay, cool. Sorry, I'm catching up here. Okay, question from Deadshot FF. Okay, cool. Trying to learn finger style. Should I do it with 5 fingers or just 4? I'd anchor the pinky for a start, and I do it with thumb, index, middle ring. Definitely. The 5 thing, I don't know. You're struggling there in the beginning with like keeping things stable and strengthening up the pinky. And finger picking can be tricky enough to start, you know. Love the rock and roll gestures. Yes. My inner rock is coming out. Hey, Stuart, what's up? Another man under an incognito name. Good to have you in. All right. Glad that helps. Any follow-up questions, just ask, okay? Okay, question from Niall. I'm going to go here. Best and quickest way to learn a solo to perform live. 2 people performing. Okay. Best, quickest way to learn a solo. Niall, just clarify, and I'll keep an eye after this, but I'll answer both. Do you mean like intro to a song type of a solo, or do you mean like full on, you're taking a solo over around the chords like the verse? The quickest way to learn a solo to perform live would be to learn only on the bottom 3 strings. When it comes to a solo, if you're down, if a song is going like this, and you're, it just blends in with it. It won't cut through. So your solos really, and it's like what they said about B.B. King, if they took away like his thick 3 strings, it wouldn't matter. He mostly spent his time on these. So now what I'd do is I would learn the major scale to begin. Okay, because I've seen your set list. I'd learn the major scale to begin, and I'd learn it in a few positions, and you've used the capo and open chords, so I'd actually play them in the positions, right? So, so for example, here, you'd learn the G major scale, open, sorry, all right, so that'll be the G major scale, and here are the search terms to use, because I want to give you the things to look up, because once you look them up, you can learn them. G major scale, 1 octave, and you're looking to learn it on these ones. Okay, and that means any song with the G, you can start soloing. You don't need to go through the rest of the fretboard. Then any song that starts on a C, learn the C major scale, 1 octave. And any song that starts on a D chord, learn the D major scale, 1 octave. Okay? Those will be the 3 main scales if you're using a capo and you're playing a ton of open chords at gigs. Then, level 2 of that is to learn the major scale without the use of a capo. The benefit of this one is you can now learn some cool stuff and move it around. So like, for example, if somebody is playing here, sorry, if they're playing that, I could play that scale now, even though the other person's on D. And then if the other person starts a song on G, I can play the exact same scale shape. Now, the advantage of doing this one versus the capo one is that you can get really fluent at using this one shape in different areas and start learning licks and riffs, which brings me to the next part of this. So that'll be the main type of scale to learn. The next thing to do with that would be to look up backing tracks on YouTube, make sure they're in the key you're in, or record yourself playing, like, you know, just record yourself playing the chords or use a looper pedal and start jamming over them. Now, you're singing at your gigs, so this is a major benefit. Instead of getting in my head around playing fast fills or going, how do I make up something that sounds melodic? You've sang a ton of melodic stuff. Use what you got. Start with what you know and let what you know grow. As I heard somebody great say before, like it's so what you could do is like spend some time like basically singing the notes, and that way you'll internalize how they sound, and then you can start to improvise from there. But you're improvising melodically and musically and kind of based on what you'd sing anyways, rather than go, oh, 7 to 9 sounds cool. It's very maths based and very like analytical. So kind of want to get into the feel of it and piggyback on what you can do already. Now, so that's what I do. Scales, and then just let you know, with the playing of them, plenty jamming over backing tracks, over the songs, and then when it comes to time to playing them at the gig, remember that less is more. So like with songs, like if I do this one, leaving on jet plane, I think it is. Cause I'm leaving. That's a melody, like it's not a solo, but if you aim for melodies, it's spaced out. There's room for notes to breathe. What can happen is when we learn a scale, we get excited. I've done this a ton, still do it. Get excited and start like fucking like playing notes all over the shop and like playing fast notes and then running out of ideas and notes. So just allow that it's okay, allow their space to breathe with the notes, right? And that's how that connects in with you learning singing them. So it'll feel more natural as if you're just singing now, but it's in the form of notes. All right, hope that helps. Look at you go. I remember a few months ago you asking about gigging, and now you're like, playing solo, I have a ton of gigs, and now I want to play solos at gigs. That's class, man. Okay. Combe said sound, so basically Dave, you have to level up or just go back to the original. Yes. There's always somebody once said, new level, new devil. Same on guitar. So, thanks Declan, excellent. Whiskey in the jar. Niall, okay, confused scales and tries, just clarify. Cool, perfect, so that's it. You know, whiskey in the jar. Okay, so if you're playing whiskey in the jar, keep in mind as well that if you're playing a song belonging to a band, just remove the expectations that you have to play anything like the band. Like whiskey in the jar would be tempting to go like, you know, but it's just fine to go. Do you know what I mean? It's just like chill it out with it. All right, and that's it. And then like, you know what? Some people with speeches, they have like things they've already planned to say, main points, key points, then they go off of it. The same with this. Like take a pen and paper and write out some stuff that you've made that you kind of like, that you're like, oh man, when we do whiskey in the jar, I like this. And then give yourself a bit of permission to kind of zag as well as do the zig, and like don't go too far off the script, but just a little bit, you know. And that's the thing, like with soloing over stuff, it's just a process, you know. And everything, it varies from gig to gig as well. And like, yeah, just be aware too, like there could be the gigs where maybe the volume isn't loud enough. Now you're adjusting the volume as you're trying your solo, and just everything will be an improvement over time. So hope that helps. No worries, you're very welcome. Alrighty folks, that's all the questions in so far. Nice mix going on. Okay, so before I forget, there was something when I was sharing the community earlier. I was like, I knew there was something. Okay. For those of you that came in after hours, the community levels have been updated in name. There's been some upgrades. Okay, so I had to give a shout out to William. He's lorded the strings right now. He's on level 7, which is cool. Now I want to get to the finger picking here, finger picking journey. Okay, so day 16 has gone up. Day 16 we're in our Travis picking pattern. If you want to check that up, they'll be there on Tuesdays and Thursdays. I literally just went a bit early with it. So our Travis picking pattern is underway this week for the next couple of days, and you have your action item. Okay, so now the next thing I wanted to do here was, yeah, okay. So I've noticed this in some videos, and I've spoken about it, and I've seen it happen in private lessons. So real quick, just about the importance of remembering that where we decide to look as we play guitar can be as important as what we're doing with our hands, because it's what we're perceiving with our senses. So where I'm going with that is, like, today I was at a song with somebody and they were singing and playing it, and they were actually, after they got the chord on, they actually looked around the room as they played, and I was like, well, what's around the room? And they're like, I don't know, just kind of like, I watch Ed Sheeran and I like to, you know, he looks around the room. Like, that is so true. But at the same time, Ed Sheeran, when you see him do that stuff or play with his eyes closed, he's played those songs 1,000 times, and he started by looking. So when you're playing, if you're struggling with something, before you get into the data of the thing, before you go, man, finger picking's tricky, or this chord change is hard, double check in where you're looking. Like, so for example, if I was at this finger picking pattern, now watch this. I'm looking at my finger picking hand, and what shall happen next? Chord change coming. There's 2 to 3 things happening there that actually affects the finger picking. That's nothing to do with the playing of it. Number one is I was looking down here at my finger picking hand, and then I looked over here a bit too late. The chord change was already on, and when it's already on, it's much harder to rearrange the shape, right? And the second thing is my eyes have to focus. It's like, you know, if somebody comes up to you and they go like that, your eyes have to like take that second to focus. Well, that's 2 things now. The chord could have gone on after the fact. Now you look and you go, oh, need to budge. And then your eyes are just about focusing on it. And then the third thing is, in the back of your mind, you're like, well, I got to get back to looking here. This is where I look. It's finger picking, it's new. And that thing as well. So between all those things, that's what affects the finger picking. So, and this is the hardest thing to do in guitars. If you took a step back and played slower with finger picking, like played at this tempo, but was certain that you're picking the strings, and then you could look over here and build a whole lot up together. So I just want to share that because, and by the way, I'm using finger picking as an example. It was strumming today, but I've seen it happen with finger picking as well. So it varies. And then the other thing was, yes, okay, this is important. Give me 1 second here. This happened in class as well today. And if I see stuff happen in class, in private lessons, and I see it happen online, I'm like, okay, time to share. You could be like, time for Dave to look at his teaching. It's happening both places. So probably that too. Okay, yeah, here we go. Okay, I want to share this. Okay. I'm going to use these board notes here of Take It Easy. Okay, and this did happen in 1 or 2 of the videos, which is to be expected. But do you see the way the intro, we've G, G, C with the G, D7 sus4 with the G. But look at the 2 bars of G here. Those 2 bars happen, and then you have more G for the verse. Then you go from G to the D. Now, what I saw in some of the videos was, and I was like, this is like a secondary problem, like a secondary challenge. The main thing is the intro, or if there's other tips. What you gotta watch out for, and by the way, if I asked you as well, like, if I asked, like, how certain are you that you're getting the G to D change where it's supposed to be? Well, the trick with this is as follows. One is to read it off the screen or a piece of paper, and in this fashion, not the ultimate guitar, because the ultimate guitar doesn't have the dashes and stuff. And you think about your strum pattern here. You played on this G, then once on this G, and then you're in the verse, right? And when you look at that, we're not picturing it as a picture. When we think about chords, we think about them one at a time. So the way we're processing that and the way we're thinking about it is like G, 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 G. And after a while we go, do you know what? Screw it. I think I change right about here. I've been on G for quite a while now. So what you want to do is you want to think about the rhythm on G. So coming out of the intro. So that was me playing the 2 bars of G. But what I'm going to do here at the start of the verse is I'm going to hit that G a little bit harder with the first down strum, send a message to my ears and my brain and my hand that we're starting the verse now. So I'll do it here. So coming out of the intro. Get the idea? Now watch if I don't do that. It's much harder to distinguish where the verse started. So that's a little tip. If you hit that first chord harder, it can really help mark the start of the verse. But not only mark it then, keep counting. So just think to yourself, okay, I'm on 2 G's here again, then I have the G to D. Okay? I hope that helps. I just saw it in a few lessons and I was like, that happened and Take It Easy as well. So just wanted to share. Alrighty. What is going on in the chat? Hold on. See you, Noel. Take care. We'll see you on Thursday. Okay. Yes, Lord of the Strings. We'll have to have a. I'm planning a special like fellowship call every so often for level 7. So you're all going to get there. Seriously, you should check in where you're on the lead. Like Tony, you're level 6, like it's class. Okay, so that was that with the G chords, and then chord changes. The other thing that I noticed in lessons and on 1 or 2 videos, and I was speaking with students about it, was you could work on a chord change like G to C, and then when it's in a song, you could suddenly go, I thought I had that sorted, it was fast, and now it's not fast. What happened? Well, the thing is, everything that's leading up to the chord change affects the chord change. So for example, if you're doing like, I don't know, a Bob Marley song that's slow and it's G, C, and D, and you get that, then you go to the Eagles and you're after coming out of that intro and you're like, Jesus, I made it through, thank God. And then you're in the verse. That will feel different. And especially split bars like the G, G, D, D, C. So what you do is, drilling the change won't necessarily help it as much as it has done before. If there's a split bar and you're coming through a busy bar of chord changes, you want to take the bar out on its own, G, D, rotate that again and again and again, so over and over. So like I'd be going, and you want to do it enough times that you'll stop thinking about it, and that you'll start to feel kind of as normal as another bar. So if I said to you, hey, how's that compared to the G bar now? And you go, oh, geez, actually, all right, I can get it on demand. And that makes it far easier to get into the C chord. And then that's point 1, to drill the bar. And the second thing about it is you want to add urgency into the chord change. Because C is one of those ones where like you go here, here, and here, you need to get a proper note with the rest. And this is where I would suggest throw caution to the wind. Do work on C on its own, get it clear, get the chord change. But when it comes to being on the field, on the pitch, playing the song, stepping up to play it, you want to basically just go, I'm going to keep strumming. My fretboard hand just has to hurry up and join along. And use urgency in your head. I was joking. I was joking there lately with somebody about like, you know, a gentle drill sergeant in your going, hurry up, change, 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 you know. In private lessons, I do that. Like, I'd be near a student, I'd be like, change, 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 change. And I'd say to them, now, can you just hear that in your head? And I'd say it gently, of course, but can you hear that in your head coming up to that change, right? And the other tip with the chord change is, if you treat it like driving, you wouldn't just take a turn at the last second. You usually know where the turn is coming up. You're going to turn on an indicator and you're going to gradually make the turn. Your C chord change in that example could be the same. You're on the G, you know it's coming up though. You know the C's coming up, so you're thinking about it in advance. So those are a few tips for chord changes. And these tips, it's probably worth writing them out as well, just as general tips, because the pointers that are specific to a chord change, like D to C, they can also work when you zoom out and try them on other things. And like really, when I was going to guitar, I literally would, when I had a tip from my teacher, if I was stuck on something, I'd try that tip at home myself and I go, okay, did that work? It might or it mightn't, you know, might have been suitable for it. And there was one question I forgot to answer, sorry. I'm gonna take it here. I hope I copied it. Oh, question, there's another question, sorry, I missed 2. Okay, question from Coleman. What's the name and purpose of the black thing some people have in their acoustic sound hole? Coleman, that thing, I don't know what the name of it is. A feedback suppressor or something like that. But it's to stop feedback. So if you're playing the acoustic at gigs, that like the sound or the mics, like the sound going into the guitar, it would allow you to turn your guitar up louder and not get feedback. And even playing pub gigs, I've gotten feedback on acoustics, like I mean just regular pub gigs, from not having that thing in a live band setting with drums. So yeah, hope that helps. Then the question, there was another question. Sorry, I think this is the last question. Okay, brilliant. Question from Brian O'Donnell. From Brian, he's on holidays right now. Hope you're going, Brian. Looking forward to seeing you back. Who or what influenced me to learn guitar? Okay, I'll give you the condensed version. It was the last night in school. I saw a band play Sultans of Swing, this. And I was strumming around with open chords for a while. Very much like what you were saying, Stuart. Like I did a ton of songs and half songs and stuff. And I books bought and everything. And I was kind of wandering. And yeah, I saw that. And I was like, I have no clue how to do that. And I like the desire was there. Like I was like, I've got to learn to know how to play that solo. It was the coolest thing I'd ever seen in my life. And then I went for lessons. I found out who taught that guy, and I went for lessons. And my guitar teacher was definitely my greatest influence, 100%. Like it was 2000 and pre-YouTube days or anything, but like I mean, the stuff he could do. And each Saturday I'd go in and I'd be like, oh my God, this thing, I wonder does he know this one? I'd be like, oh, I want to learn this song by Metallica. And he'd kind of go, cool. And he'd play it. And that to see somebody at that level of mastery of the instrument and for it to be so effortless was highly influential, 100%. And then that was tied in with going to secondary school where an amazing music teacher, and she had this amazing environment set up for us. Like, I often say went to secondary school, but at the same time really got trained how to be like a musician. Like we were just playing music in school all the time, and back in practicals in all sorts of scenarios with different instruments and everything from the age of like 13, 14. And that was it. And it was all the musicians around me. Like there was like certain head honchos around the school who were very talented, or not very talented, very hard working, and that produced talent. And I basically was influenced by them as well. And it just kept finding different influences, you know. So hope that answers it. That's a condensed version. Okay, 5 years in 2 minutes. Alrighty. And yeah, Eddie Van Halen would have been like quote unquote like in American Offler, Eddie Van Halen Slash, in terms of like if you want to know other guitarist names. Alright, you're welcome, Thomas. You are welcome. Alrighty, folks. That about wraps up the Q&A. Do you have any questions? Just give you an update on the retreat. The retreat is pretty much booked out, the in-person one. And I am moving into the phase of checking out what to do about like streaming it or how to navigate that. Okay, so I can guarantee that I'll put a connection on at some stage so we can all be together. Yes. Yeah, but the nature of it, that'll be the next level of details getting into. And Dan Ford wrote, Mrs. B was one of the coolest teachers you'll ever meet. Damn right, that was the music teacher. Amazing teacher, and definitely learned from her not to back away from anything musically. Like she would literally hand you something and say, you're playing this, and you'd go, what? It was a lot of like Bill the Wings flying on the way down. And yeah, she demanded more from us than what we demanded from ourselves. And that definitely, if that's how you're activated as a musician and as a person, pushed by challenge, like, you know, it works wonders. And that's like the musicians that got produced in a period of time in the school that time, and it rippled out. It's amazing, absolutely amazing. Alrighty, on that sentimental note, I'm gonna leave it there. All right, thanks so much for making it. Big love to the TSG crew in the house. We have our Zoom call this Thursday, and I'm looking forward to that. And if you're on here and you are wondering about our community and you want to join, I'm going to drop the link here. It's only $29 a month. I'm in there all the time helping out. Some people actually don't believe that you get that for $29, but it won't be for much longer. So if you want to get in now at that price, now's the time. The link is there. Alrighty, but for the rest of you, I can't wait to see you on Thursday. Looking forward to the Zoom call. And we have our goal setting workshop coming up. Just a quick reminder, our goal setting workshop is coming up on Friday week, I think. And that's basically going to set us, we're casting a vision for the end of the year, our own personal vision. We're breaking it down into goals. And the idea here isn't to like nail everything in the last 3 months of the year. It's to basically try and round up the year. If there's anything undone that you told yourself back in January, before we even met, like that you told yourself back in January you wanted to do, and you want to move a bit more farther on it in the last 3 months of the year, it's kind of like the last sprint for the end of the year, you know. And also, the other thing too is it's a good chance to reflect, you know, because God Almighty, like when I see comments like some of you are playing gigs, you're playing at gatherings, you're playing musicals, you know what I mean, and like you're stepping out of your comfort zone or learning new things that you didn't know this time last year. And that's so cool. Alrighty, John, no problem. If you just send in the absence slip in the community, that'd be much appreciated. Just get it signed. Thank you. I'm joking. Alrighty. Hey, you're so welcome, everybody. And we'll see you all very soon, okay? Enjoy the evening. Thank you. Bye.